Hello, entrepreneurs. Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Fundamentals. My name is Robert Bitto. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about a topic that irks me and disappoints me at the same time. I'm going to talk a little bit about all of the frauds, imposters, and fakers that are online in the entrepreneurial space and how to spot them. So I'm going to give you a couple tips on how to spot them. Well, first of all, most of what I've seen, and I do a lot of surfing, YouTube, and other venues to look for advice and tips. I've been in business for 18 years, and things change all the time, and I'm constantly learning, and that's what you should be doing, and that's probably what brought you here to this video, to this channel, to learn some things. So I do the same thing. I'm not so above everybody else thinking that I know everything that I can't learn some new things. So I'm always surfing around, like I said, and looking for tips, advice, helpful hints, whatever you want to call it, insights into new technologies. And I'm here in my warehouse office, and I spend a lot of time here, and I spend a lot of time here doing mundane tasks. And I have podcasts and YouTube videos going on in the background a lot of time. And I've followed certain people online, and I've, watched a few videos here and a few videos there. And my overall assessment on the entrepreneurial space, on YouTube especially, is that it's full of fakers and frauds. Now, how do you spot these people? There's some obvious red flags, but then there are subtler things that you have to look for. First of all, if somebody's trying to sell you something, if they say, check out my links below, and they're trying to sell you a product, that was my bad attempt at air quotes. But if they're trying to sell you a product, some downloadable PDF book, whatever, or booklet, or a course or whatever on how to do this or that, or how to make $10 million in 3 months on this or that, you've got to really be wary of that. And if somebody looks really slick and they're promising you a whole bunch of stuff and instant riches and everything, that appeals to younger people, I know. But if somebody is promising you all that, then you need to do your research. You need to vet them. The easiest thing to do is to Google them. Who are they? What's their business? If you Google their name and all you come up with is their product or whatever that they're trying to hawk to you online, then run the other direction. If you're trying to start a business and trying to learn how to start a business, you need to be taking advice or getting tips, getting information. I'm not really into the whole guru thing, but you should be getting information from people who've actually run a business and maybe run something that you've done before. And I know a lot of you out there don't know what you want to do, and that's fine. You have your whole lives to figure that out. I've always said what you like to do, what makes you weird, and what you're good at. That's where the direction you should go into. But a lot of you who do not know what you want to do might get sucked into these scammers and schemers. And so I would say do your research. What business do they have? And I've shown my own stuff in the past. As you can see below, there's no link to a product. I'm not selling anything. I don't have a book. I am writing a book, but it has nothing to do with entrepreneurship. It's on my other YouTube channel. It has nothing to do with this. I'm not even going to cross-promote it here. But people who have their links down below or whatever, you've got to really research them, and you've got to be cautious about what they're trying to sell you. And like I said, I don't do that, so you're not going to see any links. But if you can't vet them with YouTube, here's what I was trying to say. I've talked about my business before, and I've actually showed my eBay feedback or whatever. When I talked about eBay, I have 26,000 feedbacks, and that's not from everything that I've sold. And I've showed my stats, and I've showed links and stuff like that to to prove who I am to people. Now, that's kind of part of the first layer there of vetting. If somebody claims that they're a superstar reseller, try to find out their eBay or Amazon links or Etsy links or wherever they sell. And then you can look for yourself. Now, I don't want to make this into a revenge video or anything like that, but I have to give examples from real life. There was one kid, and I say kid because I'm almost 50. This person's in his earlier mid-20s, which is a great appeal because to millennials aren't listening to me. They're listening to somebody who's 23 or 24. But this person was making 3 videos a day, pumping himself up to be this superstar seller and giving all this advice, which was, some of it was pretty half-assed, if I may say. But then when I cut through it all and looked at this guy, he didn't even have 1,000 feedbacks on eBay. So why would I take advice from someone like that? He's what I call in a couple of other videos a junior woodchuck, somebody who really doesn't have any experience and has no right to give advice. But he's setting you up because in 6 months or a year, he's going to be offering a product and say, look, I have 35,000 followers on Instagram, or I have 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. And that leads to another point I'd like to make. That quantity doesn't mean quality. As of this video, I do not even have 200 subscribers, where that person I talked about who is claiming to be a superstar reseller, he has tens and tens of thousands of subscribers. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. Remember that show? That got better ratings than, let's say, a documentary on PBS. Even Honey Boo Boo The Lost Years that aired on cable in April of 2017 got millions and millions of viewers. Does it mean that it's quality? Not necessarily. So somebody's subscription numbers or followers doesn't mean a damn thing. You have to look at their content. And sometimes you don't even know. You have to look at subtle things in order to know whether the person's legit. And that's the second level. Once you vet them, you figure out what they're doing, you can look at subtle things, subtle clues that give people away as frauds. Now, there are a couple of examples I'd like to bring up here. Like I said, it's not a revenge video, but there was a guy that I was following last year who wrote a couple books because I'm going to be self-publishing another book. And this guy talks about publishing his book and how he's living off of the profits. And, you know, he became a star on Twitter with 1 million followers and, you know, and YouTube and Periscope and all that stuff. Well, if you look at the person's Periscope, see, these are where you can watch for subtle clues. A video or a blog can be really well rehearsed and polished. A person's Periscope can really give you the insight into who they are because it's spontaneous and it's live and it's unedited usually. And you can see somebody in their natural habitat and the way that they act naturally. Now, this author who wrote 2 mindset books, he said in one of his Periscopes, while he wasn't deleting people, it was amazing to me because he talks about being an alpha male and taking charge and all this stuff, but he's blocking and deleting people on his Periscope if they ask questions that challenge him. It was funny. It was like the last time I saw his Periscope, maybe 6 months ago, it was like I was looking at the grown version of a middle school kid who got thrown into the trash or into lockers too many times by the big mean jocks, and he was going to get back at them. It was pretty sad, actually, to see that. But this person who talks about being an alpha and all of this stuff, and he wrote these books, he's acting this way on Periscope. One thing that he mentioned, too, that I caught that you would have missed is he said his second book that he wrote about mindset which was a rush job. And he kind of admitted that. He said that's how he makes his car payment. Well, I thought this guy was a millionaire, because that's what he said before. I mean, he shows his house and his hot wife and his new baby and all of this stuff. Car payment. You're financing a car? See what that says? See what that little slip showed me? That he wasn't making as much money as he has claimed that he's been making. Because if you make a statement like that, my second book is paying for my car payment, it shows that you're not independently wealthy, because number one, you're financing a car, and number two, what's a car payment? $300, $400 max a month? That's nothing. I'm sorry. But you dig a little deeper into this person, you find out that his first wife had some Facebook stock and left it to him. And so he had $2 million to play with. Now, if I had $2 million, and I'm not a millionaire, and I've said that before, I've lived a very, very comfortable life here in San Diego, owning this business for 18 years. I don't have any complaints, but I'm not a millionaire. My videos are not how to become a millionaire. But what I'm saying is, this guy's saying that, and then he's revealing these little things that indicate that he's not really who he says he is. But you can only find that out in certain cases through little hints like Periscope. And the last example I'm going to give you is a blend of the obvious and the subtle. Because once again, we have a person who is claiming to be somebody she is not. And this person is a crafter, a Latina, blogo, whatever, maniac. She does a blog, she has craft tutorials, and she calls herself an influencer. She has maybe 20,000 followers on the various platforms. And if you check out her Social Blade profile that grades people based on social media, she has a C or a C plus rating, which is average. I'm sorry, you're not a superstar. But with her, the fraud is on multiple levels. There's an obvious and there's a subtle. The obvious is she claims to be this Latina crafter and this expert on culture, but she falls flat on her face. And a lot of people wouldn't know that because they don't know anything about Mexican culture. Let's say your average white person who lives in Iowa will look at this woman and look at her as an expert, even though this Latina crafter didn't grow up speaking Spanish, did not grow up celebrating Day of the Dead or any of the Mexican holidays whatsoever. But people look to her as an expert because they're assuming things about her based on her last name and based on some of the art that she does. And she's running with it. And because she was very early in Facebook and MySpace and social media, she touts herself as some sort of a social media expert. And she sells products based on that. And it's not true. And she promotes herself as a success. And her mantra is peace, love, and glitter. And she talks about being positive all the time. But I had a teenage employee say to me, she's such a fake. And I said, well, why do you say that? And then he said, well, she's like 250, 300 pounds. How can you be happy and positive and be that overweight? And I was like, yeah, I guess I never thought of it that way. But yeah, I'm sorry, you know what? It's a problem we have in America. Obesity is a very big problem in America, and it leads to a lot of problems. And it's caused by a lot of different things. Most of what causes obesity is psychological. I can't imagine being very, very overweight and how miserable you must be to get that way and also to remain that way. And it's sad. But you can't be going around preaching this whole be positive and be happy when you're obviously drowning your problems with cheesecake and the Chinese buffet. And I don't mean this in a funny anti-fat acceptance kind of way. I'm just talking about a person who misrepresents herself and online, and how to spot the fakes. Here's another subtle thing that I noticed with her. She was pumping herself up saying, I'm going to the White House, I'm going to the White House. Why was she going to the White House? Well, she booked her plane tickets before Trump won the presidency. She didn't expect that to happen. Darn. But she went to the White House to attend a conference on Obamacare and to educate self-employed people on the benefits of Obamacare. And so I think she's really concerned about her health, because 25 years of eating whatever she wants and not exercising is taking the toll. And she wants you to pay for it, which kind of bothers me. But back to the whole White House thing. When she was giving her little Periscope or her video on the White House trip that she made, she was talking about the coverage that she was getting with an Obamacare supplement or whatever, her health care coverage. And she was saying that for herself and her family was only $190 a month. And I was listening to that and I'm saying, how can that be? I don't qualify for that. How can that be? It's heavily subsidized by you and me. So her health, her health care for her excesses, and for her not taking care of herself like other people do, we all have to pay for it. But that's not the most important thing here. What this reveals, because we're talking about how to see a fraud, what this reveals, $190 a month, that's heavily subsidized. So what does that mean? Who can qualify for that? Basically what it means is that she's pretty much broke. That's what it means. It's heavily subsidized because she's not making the money she's claiming to make. She doesn't have this lifestyle of jetting around and getting all this money from books and all of these appearances and lectures and stuff. She's not making the money. That's what that tells me. So in a roundabout way, what I'm saying is you have to look for the subtle things in addition to doing your major research. Watch the videos of these people over time, here and there, and watch for these little subtle clues. Because in a live situation especially, the truth will come out and it'll kind of shock you. Like these periscopes of that one guy told you about who was a book writer, and he's, the alpha male and grab life by the, and live your life. And yeah, like I said, if I had $2 million, I'd be doing that too. But in his periscopes, everything in the background is in disarray. His hair's all messed up. That doesn't show me that the person's all together, okay? I might have like a little wrinkled collar here myself, I'm seeing here, but I'm in a warehouse. It's not important to me. And I'm not telling you that you have to be all spit and polish and, I'm not selling you this. I'm not selling you what that person's selling you. So to wrap up, this is a long video for me. To wrap up, do your surface research. If you find out that the person's a phony, that they really don't have a business, then stop. Don't go any further. But if you suspect something, watch their videos, especially if they have a Periscope. Tune into their Periscope, their Facebook live streams. YouTube has a live stream too now. Tune into those. Pick up on the clues. And if one little tiny red flag pops up, move on. There's a lot of really good advice out there. And I've said before, some of the best advice doesn't even come on YouTube or on any of these other platforms. Your business librarian, the SCORE people, Service Corps of Retired Executives, There's a lot of free, really, really good advice out there, really good information. So look for that. And if somebody's telling you that you can make $2 million on Instagram, and here's my thing, and you can only, I have the secrets for $39.99, run. Anyway, I could probably go on and on about this. Thank you once again for watching. And remember to always work hard. And may all of your entrepreneurial dreams come true.